Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. About 9 people have been killed by suspected Boko Haram terrorists in Daima village, Calabaji local government area of Borno State, northeast Nigeria. The deceased all IDPs were allegedly attacked while working on their farms on Wednesday morning. The chief imam of the village who confirmed the attack says many of the IDPs who went farming are yet to be accounted for. The assault comes barely a day after the UN condemned the rising spate of attacks by the insurgents in the northeast. The terrorists have stepped up attacks in the region since May 2017, killing over 50 people. The non-teaching staff of Nigerian universities have called up its nationwide strike action. The decision follows a meeting between the leaders of the union and the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngigi. At the meeting, the non-teaching staff accepted the federal government proposal aimed at addressing their demand. The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, and National Association of Academic Technologists, NAT, had embarked on a nationwide strike action demanding payment of earned allowance, among others. The French government has denied report it is housing the financial headquarters of the indigenous people of Biafra. The country was reacting to a statement credited to Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who had claimed the group had its headquarters in France, where it raises money from Nigerians in diaspora and some foreign countries. However, in a statement, the French government has denied knowledge of the alleged headquarters, saying it is committed to Nigeria's unity. A federal high court in Abuja has granted the request of the Nigerian government asking for the proscription of the activities of the indigenous people of Biafra. In his ruling, Justice Abdul Kafarati said the activities of the group will now be considered an act of terrorism. His judgment comes a week after the southeastern governors also proscribed the activities of the group in the region. The new judgment means that anyone operating under the umbrella of IPOB will be arrested and charged to court for terrorism. Nigerians have been advised to imbibe the spirit of unity as the world marks the 2017 World Peace Day. This year's edition of the event, themed Respect, Safety and Dignity for All, coincides with the 72nd UN General Assembly in New York. In Nigeria, a non-governmental organization, the Immaculate Peace Movement, staged a peaceful walk in Lagos to commemorate the day and pass the message of peace across to Nigerians. The 2017 World Peace Day could not have come at a better time when the Nigerian government is contending with the issue of Boko Haram in the north and the just proscribed IPOB in the east. The theme of this year's Peace Day is also appropriate, as Nigerians desire a peaceful and safe country. This is why this group staged a peaceful walk to re-emphasize the desires of Nigerians to live as one happy and indivisible people, despite little differences across the ethnic groups.
It is only when there is peace that Nigerians can benefit from the dividend of democracy.
With banners and placards, the group marched to the Lagos State House of Assembly to deliver a letter of peace and support to the federal government in its effort to unite Nigerians and stem all acts that can jeopardize the peaceful coexistence of the people.
What we want in Nigeria is peace and harmony. And no matter your grievances or whatever you believe in, whether your tribe is from A or B or C or D, what we want is unity. We want it to be done in a peaceful manner and in a way that Nigeria will continue with the peaceful relationship and coexistence.
The group wants the Nigerian government to engage the Biafra agitators in a dialogue to maintain the country's unity.
I want you to know that if the Igbos, the IPOB people really want their separation, they should not go in violence. They should dialogue with the government to know the real way out of the system, not to have people being killed, being trapped, being in violence. I am not in support of that. And I wish this nation should come into one understanding that we have peace and stability, peace and unity.
You stage a peace walk in a peaceful way. Very instructive, very ingenious, very, very patriotic action.
As Nigeria celebrates the 2017 World Peace Day, it is believed that Nigerians will take a cue from this group and maintain peace and unity, which is the only guarantee for national development. The Nigerian government has taken a giant stride towards addressing the dwindling fortunes of the nation's aviation industry and the myriad of challenges facing both international and domestic operators in the country. The Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, on Thursday set up a committee to address regulatory issues raised by the airline operators of Nigeria.
Well, the task force has the following mandates. One is to look into the payment of multiple charges by operators. Two, to look into the state of infrastructure at the airport or airports. And then lastly, to look into negotiation of bilateral air service agreement. These are agreements are called bilateral between one country and another, dealing with air services. I'm going to presume we may have the mandate to bring in anything that we deem is bordering around these issues to also advise appropriately. This government takes every single assignment very seriously. It is our intention to give the best of service within the most conducive atmosphere and environment. We've been trying to deal with that.
Nigeria President Muhammadu Buhari is seeking the assistance of the United States government in repatriating looted funds stashed in U.S. banks. The president made the appeal during a meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Trump hosted the Nigerian president alongside 8 other African leaders. The U.S. president pledged to partner with African countries and organizations like the African Union to end violence, prevent the spread of terrorism, and respond to humanitarian crises in the region. The Joint Health Sector Union JOHESU on Thursday embarked on an indefinite strike action despite plea from the Health Minister Isaac Adewale. Members of the union include other hospital workers apart from doctors. The union says the strike is indefinite until the government attends to their demands, which include payment of arrears of salaries owed their members. The strike is coming a few days after the National Association of Resident Doctors called off its 10-day nationwide strike action that crippled health activities at both secondary and tertiary health institutions in the country. The Nigerian government has approved the payment of 45 billion naira to former workers of liquidated Nigeria Airways. The money will serve as severance packages to the dismissed staff members. This was disclosed by the Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting. The workers had held a series of protests demanding their entitlement since the liquidation of the airline 13 years ago. The Lagos state government says there would be partial restriction of movement on Ikorodu Road on Saturday and Sunday. The restriction is to allow the replacement of the worn-out pedestrian bridge at Fadeyi bus stop. According to a statement from the State Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, the main carriage lane of the Ikorodu Road will be closed on the 23rd and 24th of September between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., while the service lanes will be open to traffic. The government added it had put in place effective traffic management strategies to control movement of vehicles during the period. The Nigerian Communications Commission says it has remitted 133 billion naira to the Nigerian Federation account in 2 years. A statement from the Commission Director on Public Affairs, Tony Ojobo, said the NCC had remitted over 13 billion naira to the Consolidated Revenue Fund in less than 2 weeks. Ojobo also stated that Nigeria's quest to attain 30% broadband penetration by 2018 has received a major boost as ITU UNESCO Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development confirmed Nigeria had achieved 21% level of penetration from less than 10% 2 years earlier. Bayelsa State Governor Siraki Dixon has given his support to calls proposing the restructuring of Nigeria. The governor says this approach would address the myriad of issues which threaten the peace and development of the country.
That was a very good business. Yeah. The furniture you brought was very perfect.
That's how we roll.
Because let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much was it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no, I don't do business like that now. Yeah.
In that case, give me back my check. Let me go and look for someone that understand business.
Take.
Your loss.
It is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No,
you will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people, make we not really add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Liquidity on Nigeria's foreign exchange market has been declining this week after offshore funds shifted into the market last week to buy treasury bills failed to match bids due to higher offers. Traders say investors exchanged $102.75 million on Tuesday, down from $125 million on Monday and $131 million on Friday. Offshore funds were offering to sell the dollar at 365 naira on Wednesday, close to rates on the black market of 367 per dollar. Oil prices slipped on Thursday, giving up some recent gains. The fall comes on the wake of a meeting of oil producers that could extend production limits aimed at clearing a glut in supplies that has depressed the market for more than 3 years. Ministers from OPEC, Russia and other producers will meet in Vienna on Friday and are due to consider extending output cuts that began in January. OPEC and its allies had agreed to reduce output by 1.8 million barrels per day until March 2018 in an attempt to empty inventories. Ugandan police fired tear gas on Thursday to disperse demonstrators who had gathered to protest against draft legislation that could extend longtime leader Yoweri Museveni's rule. The move to amend the constitution had met widespread resistance from activists, civil society organizations, religious leaders, and even some members of Museveni's own ruling party. The bill is set to go before Parliament later on Thursday. At 7-3, Museveni, who has already been in power for more than 3 decades, is ineligible to stand for re-election at polls in 2021, as Uganda's constitution sets a ceiling for presidential candidates' age at 75. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has accused the country's Supreme Court of staging a coup against the will of the people when it annulled last month's presidential election won by him. The country's Supreme Court had annulled the August election, saying the poll was neither transparent nor verifiable. The court also accused the electoral body IEBC of not verifying the presidential results before they were announced. The Electoral Commission has now fixed October 26th to hold a rerun election. Swansea striker Tammy Abraham is set to represent Nigeria Super Eagles after snubbing advances from the English national team. Tammy, who is on loan from Chelsea, has represented England at all youth level, but is yet to play for the senior national team. Nigeria's football chief Amaju Pinnick says he has met with a player who has agreed to play for the Super Eagles. Nigeria's next match is a World Cup qualifier against Zambia on October 8th. Victory in that match will guarantee a place for the Super Eagles at the 2018 World Cup. Chelsea has confirmed an agreement with Atletico Madrid for the transfer of forward Diego Costa. The club in a statement confirmed the move, saying the transfer will be subject to the agreement of personal terms and a medical. The deal is worth £53 million. Costa has spent 3 full seasons at Stamford Bridge, winning 2 Premier League titles. Manchester United announced record revenue on Thursday after a successful season in which they won the Europa League, the League Cup, and as well qualified for the Champions League. The Old Trafford club earned revenues of £581.2 million in 12 months and made an operating profit of £80.80 million. Earlier this year, financial analysts reviewed United had returned to the top of the football-rich list for the first time in 2005. Well, that's all on news now. Thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.